a few technical announcements first, and that is this microphone is not working. So I want you to know I am going to do it the old-fashioned way with my big voice, and if you're having trouble hearing at any point, you may raise a hand. We believe the hearing assistant devices are still available. They are not available. Today is a day where we work together, pretend, and improvise. And I am so glad you're a part of it.
We're going to turn off the fans so that white noise is not there. Then I'll ask the folks on the side open windows just to make up for that. I think that will help with our hearing, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. For those of you who I have not had a chance to meet, I am the Reverend Amy Freedman. And I am delighted to be offering this service today with Beth and our pop-up choir and Ysaye King and all of you. Today, our community of all ages is celebrating Halloween. And so, as we are gathering for fun and celebration, I would like us to actually turn to one another in our pews, or if you are online in the chat, and introduce yourself. Take a moment to appreciate not only learning each other's names, but recognizing each other's costumes. Wonderful. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. Before we begin our service, I have a few announcements to share with you. Members and friends are invited for a special workshop after the service led by the transition team. It's an opportunity for you to learn more about what we've been learning about our community through the surveys, through the focus groups, and listening sessions. And it's also an opportunity to have really meaningful conversations about who we are as a congregation to help us in our search for our next settled minister. So you are invited to go grab a cup of coffee, come back to the sanctuary, and that will be happening here until 1 o'clock. I want to bring your attention to either a purple sheet or an orange sheet in your order of service. This has announcements of things that are going on in our community. That includes a worship sharing circle that will be online and in the Brooks Room, and coffee hour, which I already mentioned that you're all invited to. Ysaye King is our standing committee rep today, and she'll be available to answer your questions. Can you believe it's almost November? That means it's almost time for our auction. Some of you may have already begun bidding on the wonderful items donated to benefit First Parish online, and I hope that you plan to join us on Saturday night for a groovy time. There's actually going to be disco dancing as well as a live auction. And those of you with children, we're going to be showing Trolls, because I thought that was kind of a groovy movie too. And there'll be popcorn and a chance to really have a fun time together. So I hope you will come and find more information about that during coffee hour. 2 additional announcements. Our Pathways to Belonging class, which is a way to learn more about our community, begins next Sunday. Susan C. will be in coffee hour to explain more about that. We hope that you will sign up. And also, the date for the Tyranny of the Minority event is listed incorrectly. It is actually November 5th, not November 15th. And with that, let us begin our celebration.
Good morning. I am Dawn Van Patten, the Assistant Director of Religious Education here. If you're just joining us in the sanctuary, the microphones are not working. So we are doing our best to project our voices, but if you're having trouble hearing us, raise your hand, we'll try to get louder. So our chalice lighting words this morning come from Spider-Man, Green Lantern, and the Human Torch. And they've been adapted by the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Landrum, who's the minister at First Church of Stowe and Acton. This is called Superheroes. With great power comes great responsibility. We light this chalice in the hopes that in brightest day, in blackest night, our faith will flame on. Thank you, Amy. So join me in our response, please. O flame of our faith, open our hearts, fill our bodies, persistent strength, enliven our spirits, and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now. And please join us online and in the sanctuary singing hymn 389, Gathered Here.
I'm going to invite you to rise in your places, and if you could use the words on the screen rather than your hymnal, there are some wonderful motions that go with this hymn. I'll sing it once and show you. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, that's beautiful. We'll sing it together in unison several times, and then we'll sing it in a two-part round. Keep those motions going. Welcome, everyone. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw
Halloween is celebrated on October 31st. It is not a national holiday, and therefore, sometimes it falls on a weekday, as it does this week on Tuesday night. And I know some of you will be very sleepy the following day, going to work or school. One of the things that I love about Halloween is that it invites us out into the darkness. I wonder who here plans to go trick-or-treating? Anybody? And who here plans to open their doors to trick-or-treaters? How amazing is it, if you think about it, that on one night a year, people wander the streets dressed in fancy costumes like many that you see around here, and that we ring each other's doorbells, and the door opens and we're given treats? There are many different theories about where this tradition of trick-or-treating came from. Some say it originated in Great Britain, where people used to ask for soul cakes on the night before All Souls Day. All Hallows Eve became Halloween. However, there are other much more ancient traditions in this season, when the ancients celebrated the harvest and honored ancestors through rituals and bonfires and food offerings and costume dramas related to spirits and death and the cycle of rebirth. Growing up, and I grew up nearby in West Newton, we had lots of Halloween parties. And I was telling some of our kids on our way back from the community garden last week that some of the highlights of those Halloween parties included bobbing for apples, which today seems like a nightmare, eating donuts on strings, and we would have haunted houses that were created in our garages or down in our basements. I remember the very first time that I went trick-or-treating. It was with my neighbor, and that year I dressed up as a scarecrow. I had this really big, baggy sweater and some jeans that I had borrowed from my brother, and I stuffed it with straw, and then I tied rope around my wrists and around my ankles and around my waist to kind of hold it all together. And my friend Christine was more glamorous. She was wearing a long black cloak, and I think you'll be able to guess what she was. She had fangs, and she had a drip of blood glistening in the corner of her mouth. She was a vampire. Yes. We must have been 11 because we moved to Cambridge when I was 12. The two of us stepped out into the night, the crisp night air, and we wandered down the dark streets of our neighborhood that looked so different than when we walked together to school. And the stars twinkled above us overhead, and the leaves crunched under our feet. And there were strange apparitions that sort of went by us, and we kept an eye out for things that were lurking in the darkness. I want to invite you now to think about what was your very favorite Halloween costume, and why was it your favorite? And actually take a moment and share briefly what that was with your neighbor in the pews, or if you're online, in the chat. What was your favorite costume? If I could have your attention back up here. Notice the energy in this space. I love to ask children and teens what they plan to be for Halloween, and now that I see the costumes of our adults in the congregation, I should have asked all of you. It is always fun to ask, what do you plan to be for Halloween? And that is a completely different question than asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which is not ever an energizing question. Children can tell you almost instantly what they are going to be. And I find that as we age, as we become teenagers, we become more self-conscious about it. And they seem to have a harder time deciding. And I think that's in part because we become more aware of the judgments of other people. Will they know what I am? Is it clever enough? Will I look like I'm trying too hard? I encourage you to trust your inner knowing and enjoy being playful. Halloween is a time that you can wear something very different than what you usually wear, or that expresses something that you are passionate about. Psychiatrist Carl Jung explored different parts of the human psyche: persona, self, and shadow. When we use our imaginations, we tap into the collective unconscious. We become an archetype or a universal concept that is timeless. So, if you are a superhero, you become strong and able to stop injustice. If you are a fairy, you become magical and sparkle. If you are a scary creature, you are powerful and unpredictable. If you are a cute animal, you are lovable and adorable. On this Halloween, whether or not you choose to dress up, I hope that each one of us engages in real play. An opportunity to laugh, to experience excitement, and to connect with our friends and our neighbors, and to be present to the mystery and the wonder that surrounds us. Do I have a story for you? And it is called The Big Pumpkin. I found it in a picture book, but it's really a much more ancient folk tale. It's actually a Ukrainian folk tale that was called The Gigantic Turnip. And we need colorful characters to make this story come to life. And it looks to me like we have some of those right here. So if you would like to help us act out this story, adults and children are welcome, but I do ask that you make a decision now, and if you want to take part, that you join Dawn over here in these two pews. So anyone who wants to participate, you can be the characters that you came as today, and it's very simple, and we would really love your help. Looks like we got some colorful characters. Anybody else coming? Oh, good.
Sit right in there.
Fantastic. You can sit right there, right where Dawn is. Thank you so much.
Can Allison sit next to you?
Wonderful.
Right here. These two.
Once upon a time, there was a witch named Zelda. And Zelda began planting pumpkin seeds. She weeded and she watered and she waited. And finally a little sprout appeared in the earth, and then a blossom, and then a pumpkin. And the pumpkin grew, and it grew, and then it grew some more. was just hours away. So Zelda went to pick that pumpkin, and she pulled. And this is stage acting, so please know this is pretend pulling, no real pulling, right? Okay. She pulled, and she tugged, and she pulled, but that pumpkin just sat. Hey, Dawn, who else do we have to be in our story?
We have quite a cast of characters over here, Amy. We have Xanthe Simmons, we have Luna Lovegood, we have a witch, looks like a skeleton, another vampire.
Fantastic.
And a
Let's
monster
have
who's
Luna
giving me the eyes.
Lovegood try first.
All right.
Just then, along came Luna Lovegood, and she was very strong. And so she tried to pick that pumpkin off the vine, but that pumpkin would not budge. So Zelda invited her friend, Xanthe, and Xanthe tried to no avail. Dawn, would you send over 3 friends?
Sure, let's see. We have a werewolf. Is that your werewolf? No. Tell me who you are. I heard somebody say werewolf back there. I was reading monster. Pardon?
I think
Oh, Michael. Michael's joining you.
Michael.
And how about a witch and a vampire?
Michael was very
And we'll
strong
send
and sure he could do it. And he tried, but no. Next came a witch. And then a vampire. And then someone happened to come along on a flamingo.
A skeleton and a flamingo were friends.
A skeleton and a flamingo were friends. It was just that kind of a day. Well, they tried to pick that pumpkin, but that pumpkin just sat. Maybe a flamingo would do the trick. Well, she tugged and she pulled, but no. Dawn, do we have all the friends who wanted a turn?
I think we have all the friends that wanted a turn.
Wonderful. Each friend had tried to pick that pumpkin, but that pumpkin just sat. And then along came a little spider. And that spider said, "Big pumpkin," and came right up to the group of friends. Well, Zelda took one look at that spider. She rolled her eyes. She looked at all of her friends, who burst out laughing. But that spider was not discouraged. He had an idea. And so he asked everyone to gather around in a big huddle by the flamingo. All the friends got together and they consulted and they listened to the spider's idea until Zelda said, that just might work. And so Zelda held on to the pumpkin, followed by Luna Lovegood, followed by each friend holding gently onto each other's waists, all the way along in a great big chain. The spider was at the back. Because you know, great leaders lead from the behind. And very gently, they all leaned in. Ready, set, pull. Snap! All the friends chase the pumpkin. That pumpkin rolled all the way down the hill until it landed plop right at the county fairgrounds, and all of the friends collapsed around it. Whew. When they arrived at the county fairgrounds, everyone cheered for that spider and the reminder of the interdependent web of life. Because it is always better when we work as a team. And that pumpkin won first prize at the county fair. All the friends may take a bow. And now you may return to your seats unless you're singing in the choir. During the month of October, our Share the Plate offering has been for Boston area Gleaners. And unfortunately, Jess Rivers has a family emergency, so we send our loving care to her. She was unable to join us, but she sent us a brief message. We are deeply grateful for the donations from First Parish in Concord to Boston area Gleaners this month. Your support helps provide fresh produce to our food access partners and communities in need. So thank you for giving generously to our offering and for all the ways that you give to our community. Our offering will now be given and received with great thanks. Let us offer a prayer for peace. There are many places in the world to name, including Ukraine, Gaza, Acapulco, Maine, Sudan. Around the world and close to home, there are people who are hungry or displaced or despairing. Help us be instruments of peace. May we open our hearts in ever wider circles that we may find healing and wholeness. Each week, we also lift up members of our congregation in our pastoral list. Our Minister of Congregational Care, the Reverend Liz Weber, begins a 2-month medical leave beginning today. We offer Liz our loving care and wishes for her recovery. On Wednesday, Rudy Scheiber-Kurtz died peacefully with her family around her. This is hard news for her loved ones and our choir and our community. We offer prayers for her husband, Michael, her children, Natasha, Yanni, and Peter. May Rudy be filled with infinite love and God's light. So now it is your turn. I turn to you, our congregation, young and old. You are invited to name the people who you carry with you, the connections that extend beyond this community and perhaps even within this community. You are invited to name people aloud who are on your minds and hearts into our shared sacred space. Prayer is a way for us to open our hearts to connect to a power that is greater than ourselves. And especially when we're having a hard time, or someone we love is having a hard time. Prayer is an opportunity to offer our loving care and to find spiritual renewal. And so I will offer a short prayer, and I invite you to repeat after me if you wish. O love, you are as close as my beating heart. O silence, may I rest in your embrace. Let us join in a time of shared stillness. Blessed be.
All the servants
When I served as the minister of Channing Memorial Church in Newport, Rhode Island, once a month we held something called Soulful Sundown. It was an evening, a Friday evening, and we would come together to enjoy a meal of soup and bread, and then we would have an exploration of spirituality and the arts. One October evening, our theme was a season of rest. And we celebrated Samhain with the members of the Symbios Coven. Now, you may be surprised that a coven was invited to lead a ritual in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, or you yourself might be a member of our goddess circle, or perhaps you are a pagan or you draw from earth-based spirituality. I want to lift up in this service that our ancestors have been both witches and witch hunters. Personally, I am drawn to the teachings of Starhawk and the traditions that honor the cycles of nature. And it is important that we are mindful in this season of the superstitions that keep us separated from our connections to the earth and to one another. For example, our religious education program raised funds for Tompton Farm, and it was wonderful. We had an opportunity to go and visit this animal sanctuary in New Hampshire, and many of the animals that they rescue are large animals, like horses and pigs and sheep and goats and donkeys. What I did not expect was that they also had on their grounds a sanctuary devoted to the care of black cats. I was stunned. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard the superstition, don't let a black cat cross your path. Well, it turns out, even in our times, enough people believe that black cats are bad luck, and so many of them do not find homes, enough that they needed to be rescued at Tompton Farm. Just like the black cat superstition lives on, some people are afraid of witches or earth-based rituals. A family in my neighborhood does not celebrate Halloween because of their religion. This time of year is also known as the Witches' New Year, a time when daylight lengthens, the other way around, a time when daylight shortens and the nighttime lengthens, a time for us to remember that we depend upon the earth for all her gifts, for our own nourishment, for our own lives. As Starhawk writes, turn and turn again, the earth did in its endless dance among the stars. I want to leave you with a short poem by Nicolette Souter. May we raise children who love the unloved things, the dandelion, the worms and spiderlings. Children who sense the rose needs the thorn and run into rain-swept days the same way they turn toward sun. And when they're grown and someone has to speak for those who have no voice, may they draw upon that wilder bond, those days of tending tender things, and be the ones.
We can keep moving and shaking our bones with our final hymn, which is Now Let Us Sing. So I invite you to rise. Again, you can use the screens for the words. We'll start out with the call, Now Let Us Sing. And we'll just start that, and then if you're a low voice, you can keep singing that call when we start the response. And I'll try yelling out the words as we go. Here we go. No, here, fun. Snapping. Snap your bones. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith. Again, now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power. Keep going. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith. Let us sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within. Love. Sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the love within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love. Joy. Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within.
That's the message. Be not afraid. We are surrounded by so many gifts. The earth nourishes our bodies. Our bones hold us up. We do not travel down the road alone. So lift up your voice. Dare to be playful. Open your door and hand out the candy. And know that when you do so, you are offering a gift of love and hope to a world that needs it. Amen.
Please join me in the words of our benediction. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings.